Okay, let's take a look at creating a shared contact list in Microsoft 365. And this is one of the tools that I see a lot. Now, we've described this in the SharePoint in Practice Intranet Build Toolkit, and here it is, Tool 8, the shared contact list. So when I first developed my first contact list, it was from my own organization, and I found my small staff of 10 people were sharing contacts verbally across the office or by email, and each had their own contact list. And when we had shared contacts, it was kind of like ad hoc. They were shared on people's desktops, pieces of paper. Everybody had their own list in Outlook. And so I said, well, we're using this tool called SharePoint. Let's try to put everything in one spot so we can all access it, edit it, and more efficiently use it. So that's the business problem they're describing here was originally a business problem that I had, and then I've seen it over and over again in my clients because once again, Microsoft 365 and SharePoint is about creating a little bit more efficiency, a little bit more ease with which you share information and collaborate with your team. So the practical solution here is using another out-of-the-box SharePoint feature. Yay, out of the box, meaning I just rip the wrapper off and start using it. And there's a few customizations and a little bit of training people on how to use it. So we look at this as one source of truth, as we often do with SharePoint, a place for names, phone numbers, email addresses. So let's take a look at what we have built, first of all, and then we'll take a look at the fields that comprise it. So just a quick look at the tool. Here it is, contact list. Now, if you have bought the SharePoint in Practice Intranet Build Toolkit, available on Amazon and at lightlever.ca, whatever, um, you will have access to this working model as well as the spec that I'm showing in the PDF that was just on the screen, and it'll be back in a moment. So this basic contact list, you'll see it's got last name, first name, company, business phone, whatever fields you need. Most of these are default out of the box SharePoint list, so it's super easy. I find that the views up in the top right here are really useful for contact list. For example, show me staff by location. So if I have added a location field, which the Internet Build Toolkit shows you how, you can see, oh, here, show me all the staff who are in the head office location. And there they are. Okay. And there's another view here that filters by show me the Microsoft 365 stewards or the content stewards. So who is that list? The other piece in the toolkit is the downloadable contact list in Excel here. So if you do have access to the SharePoint in Practice site here, you can download those tools. And all the Excel does is pull the data from this into a more printable format. No, I didn't say it. Don't print it. But yes, recognizing that some people still want to print. Some of my clients say, yes, we will need to print that as well. So that Excel is a nice option because it pulls the latest data from SharePoint. And so it's current up until the point that the printer spits it out. Let's take a look at building this tool now. So this is an excerpt from the SharePoint in Practice Intranet Build Toolkit. This link is just to the thing we were just looking at, that contact list. So here it is using the standard design document template format here. What's it called? Contacts. Here's a SharePoint description. Again, these are designed to be copied and pasted into SharePoint when you create the list, as are these columns below here. So these are the fields that we will use for the contact list. And notice it's the standard contact columns plus the below. So this is assuming you're using the traditional contact list in SharePoint. And if you don't have access to that, reach out, let me know, because there is a trick to get it back if it's not showing on your site. It's one of the historical or classic templates. Okay, so we start with the classic contact list, then we add a contact type. This is what I used, different types of contacts. Guess what? Use whatever you want. Change your data to suit you, or don't use that field at all. Department, what are your departments? So fill those in. Locations, if you want to use location, this is just an example. And remember, this column to the right is also copy pastable. When you create the field in SharePoint, you'll copy the field name, you'll copy these choice fields, you'll set it mandatory, you'll set the default, and you'll copy the description in. Okay. Content steward, this is slightly old content in that we now use the term Microsoft 365 steward in the books, but it's the same concept. But use any fields you want here. Maybe you don't have a Microsoft 365 steward group, but maybe you have health and safety coordinators or first aid attendants or some other kind of common contact across the organization. Use this style of field for that and then create filters and fields to view it. This is an interesting one. Because we have Microsoft 365, we already have in the Azure Active Directory, we have profiles for every one of our users. So if this is an internal user, you can link to their profile picture using this person field and show their picture if they have a picture displayed. Saves you having to upload a picture of the contact list as well, and also allows people to hover over that field and see all the other contact information that might be or might not be stored in your Active Directory. So play with that one a little bit. It's interesting. And then, of course, we have views. Those, I just demonstrated those in the working examples. And the SharePoint in Practice toolkit always includes ideas for enhancement and governance notes. So you can generate an org chart with this. Very, very cool. I've done this with Visio and it works really well. You can also use the org chart wizard to save it as a web page. I haven't done this for a little while. Visio's been upgraded a few times. Should be okay. Let me know if it doesn't work or if it works great, because it's an amazing tool where first time I discovered it was like, oh, that works good. It's got good stuff. Also consider the contact type. So I talked about this momentarily, employee versus contractor, management versus staff. You might be able to use this different ways for different views. And you may have roles, committees, departments. I've used the committee feature. All I'm saying here is just add a field for a committee name if people are on certain committees. And you can create a view to say, show me a listing of all the committees. This has been very useful for some of my clients that have lots of committees and go, who's on that committee? Can this contact list become that one source of truth where you go and say, who's on the committee? Who's my health and safety coordinator? Who's my first aid attendant? And what is the right number for Mary Smith to contact her? There's the Excel example here. And you can use a stripped down web part page to be printed as well. Notice we also recommend a policy. Now, this is under the ideas for an enhancement, but it could also be in the governance notes. So think about how you're going to manage this list, who owns the data. So decide who is going to update the information, who's going to create it, delete it, and edit it. Is it just HR or management or department leads? Or can everybody access their own contact record and keep it up to date? So version history is really useful for that. So that's the shared contact list in Microsoft 365. If you haven't done so already, go ahead to lightlever.ca and grab our books. And feel free to comment and reach out to me if you have any questions or ideas. I would love to hear from you. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye for now.